Well, they tweeted to the Cleveland Browns today to release some rookie jersey numbers. They were kind enough to oblige, and we got all the status of the veterans on the roster as far as the jersey numbers and the rookie jersey numbers. I got a few bones to pick, and we'll talk about it on Bruins 3D. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D. Brought to you by the OBR Streaming Network. We appreciate everybody for all the support we get here at the OBR, whether it is the daily written content from our fabulous staff of writers, or for the OBR Streaming Network beginning every night at 6 o'clock with me, hosting you all here on Browns 3D. Various shows to follow. Tonight you will get the React with Brad Ward and Pete Smith. Garage beers after that. And I've been talking to Mike Keefe. He's got a fantastic guest tonight, and probably one of the players I'm going to mostly, one of the rookies I will mostly be looking to follow on his journey starting this weekend when the Browns begin rookie mini camp. Ironically enough, I put out a tweet last night, and if anybody saw it, I was trying to guess where the jersey numbers would fall for the rookies. We only had one confirmed to this point, and of course that was Mason Graham donning the old 94. Um, David Tomlinson, and we knew nothing else. So I tried to speculate. I thought Quinshon Judkins wore #1 last year at Ohio State. Right, one was available. I thought there'd be a good shot there. #2 was available. Seemed like a slam dunk for Shedeur Sanders. #5 was available. I think actually I had him going to Dylan Sampson. I did make a mistake in that though, because I did give Dylan Gabriel #8 as well, and completely forgot about Kenny Pickett in the process. And then Carson Schlesinger was a question mark. Harold Fannin, there were the video, everybody saw it, where they were trying to, give, their hopes and dreams of what their jersey number would be. And you saw certainly the equipment manager say, I'm going to take all this information, but, we're going to run it past coach. And I've certainly been accused over the years of being a Kevin Stefanski homer, whatever. If that's what you want to call it, that's fine. Do I really appreciate Kevin Stefanski? I absolutely do. I think he's a great coach. When he has what he needs on the offensive side of the ball, I think he is a really, really good offense. However, I had a huge bone to pick now with Coach Stefanski. If you saw in that little video, and it was Quinshon Judkins, and it was Fannin, and it was, of course, Carson Schlesinger, talking with the equipment guy, trying to get the numbers. And we still haven't worked. He said, take the information, but last call, this comes through by the coach. Now, you know, and he had mentioned, there's veterans who put in for a number change. Now, this is in high school, man. Okay. Just because, you're the veteran doesn't mean, you get the jersey change. I'm sorry. And there's several things I'm looking at. Look, in the years past when the Browns had no draft capital, and their first picks were, Mike Hall got the number he wanted, obviously. It happened to be available. Other guys necessarily didn't get the numbers they were requesting, and they always said, oh, well, the veterans. It was fine, really, when you didn't have first round picks, 2 second-round picks, 3rd-round picks. Yeah, this is why I'm building the contention. This is a whole different ballgame now. And you have, leaders who were drafted first round, second round, third round. These guys are all coming in most likely to play prominent roles. So some of these veterans that were given the opportunity to get the number they wanted, in my opinion, it just doesn't hold up, because some of them aren't going to be guys that are necessarily even A, on the field, or B, going to be, high playmakers for this team. For Graham, for Schlesinger, for Watkins, for Fannin, for Dylan Sampson. These guys are all going to be legitimately vying for playing time. And that's before we mention the names Dylan Gabriel and, of course, Shedeur Sanders, all of whom, you know, are basically have as much of a fighting chance for starts for this team this season. They have legitimate chance to play. All of these guys. All these guys have legitimate chances to make impact this year. Some of the people, and this is probably something that happened when the league opened up the single digit numbers years ago. Um, Single digits are the badass numbers there are in football. It's just the way it goes, man. All the years I played, and I'm sure everybody else, you're looking for the dude who was wearing one. Yeah, of course, we didn't know everybody now, like the way we knew them ahead of time. But I mean, you saw whoever's wearing one, you were like, oh, that's a dude. And you wearing a single digit at any level of football is usually, signified that, hey, he's a dude. It's not what the approach is that the Cleveland Browns did with Kevin Stefanski. And that's kind of why, eh, things really aren't sitting with me so well. So before we get to the rookies, here are either A, new players and their first jersey numbers with the Cleveland Browns, or players who have switched their jersey numbers. Now starting numero uno, number one, is cornerback Martin Emerson Jr. Martin had a tough year last year. Opting to rock jersey number one takes some stones. It does. Hopefully it certainly works out for Martin Emerson Jr. Contract year. And look, I'm going to have a little fun with this, and I'm not really, we probably won't really even approach this much after today, but it's certainly something that was highly anticipated. But, if you ask me, Browns fans who certainly, a lot are huge Ohio State fans as well. With Martin Emerson on the final year of his rookie deal, none of us necessarily know his future within the organization. If you are a Browns fan, were you running out to buy a Quinshon Judkins number one jersey? Or are you spending that money on a Martin Emerson number one jersey that may only be good till January, perhaps February? Wait. We will continue. Now wearing number two, and I think we all thought this was going to go a certain way, and it, however, did not. Return man, reserve wide receiver DeAndre Carter will be wearing jersey number two. Been in town for a hot minute, man. He's worn he's worn several uniform numbers in his time in the league. We gave jersey number two to DeAndre. You can see social media is already a buzz about it and a little aggro about it. And there's people who have maybe surely made a purchase of that well before the draft. Some of them, it actually worked out for them. That player was drafted, but there were probably a lot of orders placed in the last 11 days, 12 days or so. And it's certainly causing a tad bit, probably of a ripple. We thought we knew where that number was going to go. As we know, 3 unavailable, 4 unavailable. Actually, we'll stick here with the veterans, though. So single digit wise, that will do it, of what was available that the veterans got, except for quarterback Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was worn 8 his entire career, wore 7 last year. And now here with the Browns, he will get jersey number 8. Again, certainly this jersey, could have gone either way. Dylan Gabriel certainly has been number 8 his entire life. And again, it's given to Pickett. We know Gabriel's making the team. I've said several times right now, I don't know that Kenny Pickett is making the team. Either way, Jersey number 8 goes to Kenny Pickett. Reserve cornerback, special teams ace, and again, number 11 goes to Tony Brown. Again, this is a number that may not necessarily not be back in rotation again very, very soon. Certainly by no means is Tony Brown a lock to stick with this team, but for now, veteran Tony Brown will wear number 11. Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson, the deal is now official. And as I told you, there is zero guaranteed money going to Deontay Johnson. Everything he gets, he will have to earn. So again, it was zero risk into this deal for veteran wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Hopefully, it returns some type of reward for the Browns. They can really certainly use the help, as we all know, at the wide receiver position. So for Deontay Johnson, he will be wearing jersey number 16. Jerome Baker, linebacker, former Buckeye, goes back to his Buckeye roots. Ward, number 17, while in Columbus, he will be number 17 now with the Browns. Veteran quarterback Nick Needham has chosen jersey number 25. Kicker Andrews is Matt, number 38. And at least, the Browns' current starting kicker, Dustin Hopkins, wearing number 7. But I'll be honest, I love when kickers just wear off the wall numbers. So a kicker rocking 38 doesn't bother me at all. I actually kind of like it. In college, you see the most obscure numbers ever on kickers. Certainly I'm okay with it. Certainly works for me. Defensive end Julian Apora has chosen jersey number 53. Offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas, and good luck with this one, Cornelius. He will be wearing 71 this year. 71, of course, formerly worn for the last 5 years by Jed Wills. So, Mr. Lucas, make sure they're brand new. Make sure they are absolutely brand spanking new, these jerseys, and just ripping the plate off and throw yours on there, because there's some bad juju in those jerseys, that's for sure. Reserve guard Tim Jenkins will be wearing number 74. No issues there. Defensive end Joe Tryon Shoyinka. He wore single-digit last couple seasons for Tampa Bay, was a single-digit guy in college for Washington. He will wear number 90. Veteran defensive tackle Malik Collins will be wearing 96 for the Cleveland Browns. Interesting enough, one that wasn't listed by the Browns, Joe Flacco. I guess he'll just go back and run for the 15. That Joe wore his first run through with the Cleveland Browns back in 2023. Just interesting that it wasn't necessarily mentioned, as far as that. And, who knows, maybe it's a late omission. Maybe Joe just hasn't. And Joe's been it down. Obviously, we've seen him at Guardian games. We've seen him in the building. Maybe I guess everybody just assumed that was the case, and maybe that's why it wasn't necessarily reported. But now we get to the rookies. And I'm going to be honest, there's some UGLY going on here with some of the Browns rookies and their jersey numbers. There's some I really like. There's some I just don't know how to take it. Mason Graham, and this has been out since his first trip to Cleveland right after he was drafted. Mason Graham, who wore 55 at University of Michigan, will wear number 94. I think a lot of people, and I saw it out there, people just assume he was going to go up to 55, next year, maybe when Ethan Postig's done. I don't know necessarily just exactly how this works with the changing of numbers of veterans. They used to make it very difficult on guys to do this, to change their jersey number. I'm not sure what the path is now, and I couldn't tell you what Mason Graham wore in high school, and I doubt he walked into Michigan, where there's 5 stars everywhere, and just said, "Well, it's 55, or I'm not coming here." So maybe he was handed it at Michigan, maybe it's a jersey number he's worn his entire life. I'm not sure, but Mason Graham will now be rocking number 94 for the Cleveland Browns. Um, I talked about that little video where it was Judkins, it was Fannin, and it was Carson Schlesinger with the equipment guys and trying to put in their jersey number requests. And when it came up, it was sure wore 49 at UCLA. With the reaction from Jenkins and Fannin was kind of like, hmm. Like there's no designs, there's no flashiness, nothing with jersey number 49. I mean, you have to give yourself a couple of minutes to even come up with somebody, football player wise, who's worn 49. Well, Bruce Schlesinger is stuck with 49 still. I don't like it. I know 44 was a number that was available. Certainly was in contention for another rookie. 49 is just don't know what to do with that number. Person Schlesinger, the hair, the aesthetics. 49? 49. This great and take look that good in the uniform. 49. I mean, yeah, he made 49 look good for UCLA. But jersey number 49 in the NFL. Oof. Maybe this third helmet that the Browns are about to release soon will help, perhaps. Because, that jersey number 49. Just sorry, Carson Wester, sorry. Again, we only thought Quinshon Judkins would just roll from Columbus to Cleveland and, go from wearing, the crimson number one jersey to, the blue number one jersey. However, that is just not the case as of this point. Quinshon Judkins was given number 10. So the old Anthony Schwartz jersey will be rocked by Quinshon Judkins, number 10 for Q. I don't know where I feel on that. Like, I mean, running backs, you either wear a jersey in the 20s or you rock a single digit. 10 just seems so in the middle of nowhere. I mean, in the past, a lot of jersey numbers, 21, 20 spoken for, 21 spoken for. 23 is now available. Nobody, and I will repeat this, nobody was given jersey number 24. Do I mean it means anything as far as Nick Chubb coming back? I probably don't think it does, but I also think number 24 is a number for the Browns that should be out of rotation for a little bit because, that's what Nick meant to this franchise. I don't think anybody should be rocking 24 if it's not Nick and, for the foreseeable future. Harold Fannin, and again, in that video, Fannin mentioned 44. He mentioned 88 as a really nice tight end number. He was given jersey number 88. 44, as far as I can tell, remains available. Fannin did wear 44 at the Senior Bowl. I think he wore it early in his career at Bowling Green. 88 makes sense. It does fit, as far as, the tight end motif, but 44 looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. 44 would have looked really good. In the Browns uniform on Fannin, doing all of the things he can do. We'll see if 88 sticks, which I think there probably is, a strong possibility, but 44 certainly could be possible as well. Dylan Gabriel, who wore number 8 his entire collegiate career, whether it was UCF, whether it was Oklahoma, whether it was Oregon, with number 8 being taken by Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel will be wearing jersey number 5 for the Cleveland Browns. Again, I don't know if Pickett sticks. Would that open up 8? Is Gabriel a guy that's just going to say, never mind, I'm cool with 5? I don't know if I see Dylan Gabriel being somebody that is going to, turn over the apple cart, so to speak, over a jersey number, even though 8 is something that he has worn, for quite a while. When I did the Dylan Sampson yesterday, I had originally had him in 5, and I put Gabriel in 8. With Pickett taking 8, Gabriel taking 5. And this was a number, that's been available, off and on since Grant Delpit went to jersey number 9, Double Deuce 22. I love the number for Dylan Sampson. Again, if you couldn't get him in a single digit as a running back, you want to be somewhere in the 20s. 20 is Pierre Strong. That certainly can open up and be available. 21 is not available and may never be available again. Of course, Denzel Ward. 22 on Dylan Sampson. Really, really like that for Dylan Sampson. Again, if it was not available in the single digit, the 22 certainly works for me. I want to give this one up here. This is a great one today. From Pete Smith in the OBR Slack channel. Okay. RJ Harvey was drafted just recently, and a lot of people are certainly high on that selection. RJ Harvey is 5'8", 205 pounds, 24 years old, and runs a 4.4. He went 60th overall. Dylan Sampson is 5'8", 200 pounds, 20 years old, and runs a 4.42 and went 144th overall. Age matters. RJ Harvey at 60th overall needs to contribute immediately. If he does not, it could be a not for long in the NFL for him. Dylan Sampson, 144th at only 20 years old and played in the SEC. And something doesn't seem kosher there as far as the selection, right? But Dylan Sampson, again, number 22. Gets us to the final one. Shedeur Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders will be wearing number 12. Again, number 2 went to veteran return man, wide receiver DeAndre Carter. DeAndre Carter. Just odd that somebody basically just walked in here, and hasn't been in town very long. It's, this number, certainly the number highly associated, certainly with Shedeur, certainly associated with the Sanders family. Shedeur gets 12, a lot of people wonder maybe, was it a tribute to Tom Brady? Well, Tom Brady didn't draft him 5 times. He was not 5 times too. 12 times 12, 144. The 144th selection overall. Yeah, I actually made a mistake on that earlier until it's actually 144 selection overall. Shedeur Sanders. So something possibly, 12, the reverse of his dad, number 21. It just seemed odd. It really seemed like, Shedeur would end up. It just seemed odd to me. Again, you just don't like the high school approach to this. This is the NFL. All the veterans wanted to change their numbers. Yeah. I care about the fans who want to buy jerseys of this rookie class. And there's a good chance the jerseys they buy may not stick. Some of these guys that were given some of the better jersey numbers, I'm not sure how long their time here with the Browns is. Look, the guy he gave number 1 to was on the final year of his rookie deal. The guy he gave number 2 to, I'm not sure he's, I'm not sure he's going to lock for the 53-man roster. Pickett at quarterback, I kind of understand it because you have less flexibility as far as jersey numbers for the quarterback position. It just I just don't like the approach, and I get you trying to say that veterans they've been here longer. I don't know. I'll tell you, I can understand your point. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Doesn't mean I even have to like it. To be completely honest with you. So, but there are obviously all the changes with the Cleveland Browns and jersey numbers. I would highly suggest anybody in the rookie class, I don't want you guys to spend your money and then find out in September that the jersey is changed, or even you get one season out of it. Hey, if you get the money to spend, God bless it. I think some of you were probably really excited to go order a jersey and understand that you might have had a 5-year run with it, a 4-year run with it, and unfortunately, probably it's not going to be the case. as it is. Um, we have the schedule coming out, and that will be a week from tomorrow. So May 14th, Wednesday, May 14th. We will go live as a network. Early to tell. I'm assuming most of your regular gates are going to be up in there. We'll probably have, if it's Wednesday, you'll probably get Larry and Fred at 7. And then, of course, we'll go into the schedule. So from there, give you our thoughts. You know, it, it, it seems odd, but everywhere I keep reading says the Cleveland Browns are going to have the 30th most difficult schedule. I'm sorry, are going to have the third most difficult schedule in the NFL this year? Which blows my mind. It blows my mind. It absolutely just blows my mind. That a team that went 3-14 last season somehow ended up with such a difficult schedule. Understood you're facing the AFC North, I mean the NFC North. So it's obviously, of course, Green Bay, it's Detroit, it's Minnesota, it's Chicago. You've also got San Francisco on the slate. So I mean your NFC draw is not easy by any means whatsoever. I don't want to get into all that now. I don't want to spoil the show a week in advance, but just obviously a little bit of programming update, from us all here at the OBR. Um, there are a couple of guys that are going to just take a little time off here, and then you'll see where we're at when training camp is, opened up. For a lot of some people who work with us, they also have their own thing, so there ends up being a little bit of burnout fatigue. Um, so just some guys just lay low for a little while here, enjoy a little bit of the spring, a little bit of the summer, and then reevaluate where everything's at here. You know, Believe me, trust me, training camp is not that far away. As much as everybody wants to believe it is, it's not that far away. I guarantee you that. Um, I'm looking forward certainly to rookie camp coming up this weekend. Certainly first sights of these guys in the Browns gear. Letting everything draft wise, what you thought of them, what you believe they could be, all that just goes to the back burner. It absolutely just goes to the back burner. And we started out the first chapter here in Cleveland Browns. In Cleveland, he's a Brown for these 7. Certainly all the undrafted free agents. Um, a chance here, chance to make your mark in the NFL. So certainly, again, and one more thing, Deontay Johnson, obviously we mentioned it a little bit. It's basically a 2-year deal with league minimum. Okay. And again, this is what I call a 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years. It comes down to Deontay Johnson. Nobody's blind or nobody's ignorant to, the issues of, Deontay's mind and, basically letting things that are out of his control him, which isn't always the best way to go, certainly. Um, a lot of it certainly was about play, opportunity, targets. Well, if he can keep himself in check, those opportunities are here. And, with this team at some point this year moving towards rookie quarterbacks, moving towards a future of very young quarterbacks. The guy with Deontay Johnson's experience certainly could be influential, but it will come down to whether or not Deontay Johnson can keep himself, quote unquote, in the game. Because, Johnson cannot be a distraction. The Browns can't afford a distraction when they're trying to develop these 2 rookie quarterbacks. So again, we'll see how it works out. Certainly could be something that, turns out to be, really good for Cleveland. Um, you know, with the Elijah Moore thing and, some guys just don't take this for granted for, the play. And, some guys just, won't carry themselves that way. And it's sad, but, you need to include yourself sometimes in, what goes on, as far as where your career is going. Yeah, put some onus on yourself. It's just the way you do business. Pointing the finger after 1 stop, pointing the finger after 2 stops. Sometimes, man in the mirror type of thing is, what's going to be done there. And I'm sure most of you saw, the message, either the tweet, the social media post that I am referring to. Um, Again, thanks to everybody, all the everybody comes on, everybody listens to us all. Um, And of course, coming out reading, of course, all the work from, the great staff of writers here every day that just of us. They put in really, really good content. So make sure, of course, you're getting all of that. On the Browns, the OBR streaming network is beginning every night at 6 o'clock with Browns 3D, hosted by myself. Several shows, yeah, throughout the week, mixing up the lineup. Tuesday, you have the React with Brad Ward and Pete Smith. Always, always a great, great show. Make sure you guys get your eyes and ears on that. And immediately after them, Garage Beers with Mike Keefe. And again, special guest. And you'll learn a little more about him, over the weekend. Of course, um, Browns, it'll be Browns rookie. That's what I'm gonna give it. I'm just gonna give it nothing. Browns 3D on the OBL. Appreciate you all for coming out. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D. We'll talk to you. So